What's up, YouTube? Mr. Lamessi here, and today I am going to go back to playing Diablo 2 Resurrected. Now, for many of you, you can say, "Get out of here!" or something like that, and that's totally fine. You know, good riddance, whatever it is, that's okay. I mean, I'm sure I'll be back to play some Diablo 4 seasons as they come along, depending how interesting they look. I think there'll be plenty of fun to still be had with the game. And overall, I probably got a couple hundred hours at least out of Diablo 4. So I do feel like I got my money's worth of it in a way right there, you know? So it's like I was able to play, I don't know, I'd guess 200 to 250 hours. I'd have to go back and add it all up. But I also had some like beta time played in there and all of that to kind of add into it. I played my Sorcerer, I played Ice Shards, I played Arc Lash, I played Chain Lightning, and I played Firewall as I progressed through her. And I found overall that it was a decent experience of playing through, but there were a lot of the issues, and these are issues that I brought up. And something that I think is, I don't want to say interesting, but something that I noticed was I brought up a lot of issues, and initially there was a reaction where everybody was like, "You're just hating the game, you're just being negative about the game," and whatnot. But I kind of think a lot of that came because I had played a lot more hours of the game at that point than a majority of people had played. I mean, even as of like a week ago, I believe they said only 90% of the players hadn't even beaten the campaign yet, right? And so there was a lot of stuff that I had been saying that was later on that came from experiencing the game a little bit further. And it does feel like as more and more people are getting to those hours played, getting to that point, they're starting to run into those similar issues and identify the same sorts of things, which is kind of funny. But also it's just interesting to see them have the realizations as well. And I think a lot of it does come from after X hours, you go, "Oh, wait a second." Or once you hit a certain level, you go, "This doesn't feel quite right." Whatever it is. Now, of course, this isn't saying that you have to believe all of the things that these are. You can think the game is in a perfect state and love this game. Again, it's opinions everywhere, right? Everybody can just have their own, and they're all kind of, whatever. But there are a lot of issues that I do think they have been addressing, or the people have been addressing that have been coming up, and they're issues that I've addressed and other streamers, other people have addressed, going all the way back to the closed game beta, to the alpha, all of that. And this is where I would say my biggest decision of really kind of moving back to D2 comes from. I'm not sure that Diablo 4 is in a state currently where it's updating fast enough on the what I would call important pieces of improvement. So they had that campfire chat where they were discussing stuff that was going to be changed and improved, and they did a couple things like, hey, we're going to, make it so there's like gems moved to your materials bag now, which is like, oh, that's an improvement from having it in the main inventory. They were doing stuff where you can now teleport to a nightmare dungeon, which I'm actually going to be honest, I think I might have asked for that change even slightly, but I don't actually like the change. I think it's a good change for efficiency, but I think the proper fix is actually making moving to a dungeon more interesting and exciting, because now it's like, why are they even dungeons? It shouldn't even be related to the map in the game at all, right? Now it's like, this should just be a greater rift or just a thing. I push a button, it opens the portal, I go into it, and that's it, right? A map, whatever. And before, it was annoying to just have to go teleport to a waypoint and run to the dungeon, but it at least gave the idea of the lore of the world, or a little bit, that it was that dungeon. And a lot of people are going to be like, you're moving the goalpost. This isn't, whatever. I get it, right? I'm saying my initial thought was, man, that was a really annoying experience. If I could just get there faster, that'd be great. But that being there, I almost wish they'd yelled back at me and were like, no, this is part of the world, get used to it or something. Or, like I said, a better piece, have a purpose, a reason that moving and running to that dungeon actually is something I want to do. I'd say that would be kind of a big thing. Regardless, like I say, a lot of people are going to call me a hypocrite or whatever right now for saying that, because that's something that I probably had requested before. But it was just something I got to thinking about over time, and even before they implemented it, after I'd kind of talked about it and other people had talked about it, I was like, it really it shouldn't be linked to a dungeon then, right? At that point, that should be something else, because it doesn't make sense there. But regardless, I still think overall it's a decent change. I think it's a fine change. It will make things more efficient. It'll remove an annoyance. It does sadden me a little bit, like I said, in my later thoughts. But you know what? Changing opinions is, I think, a totally fine thing to do. I think, of course, there's still plenty of the other issues. And like I said in the campfire chat, there was still so many things that were not addressed at all that it made me feel like they're so focused on getting the seasons, getting the expansions, getting all of these things, that they're not focusing as much on just fixing and improving the base game where it needs to be improved. And I think for me, that's kind of the crux, the core of all of it. I'm going to open up my drive and look at my requested changes again right here, and just look through some of the basic pieces, right? There's stuff with escort quests, tons of those, the non-skipping through the unskippable talking or moving of the characters, some of the dungeon events and things like that. See, I did say this: Nightmare Sigil's teleport, create TP to dungeon with a question mark. So I did question it even back then. The camera, things all feeling close range builds, trading, social features, missing, a place to look for parties, items and white items and blue items being completely pointless, sacred items and all of that being completely pointless in the late game. Just tons of those pieces. Right, there's just so many things. The quality of life, loot filters, search bars, overlay mini maps, all of these things. Again, I've got all of this where I think there was stuff that could be improved, and then I had another one, right? I made 2 videos on all these things. Obviously, you don't need to do all of the things that Llama requests, but I felt like there were so many core pieces, and right now there's a bug with resistances. Or I say bug, but it's just I think it was just implemented wrong in the formulas, or their formula's too complex. They couldn't figure out how it was supposed to be implemented, whatever, where resistances are failing. They're not working as you level up, they just get worse and worse and worse, right? And so they're pretty much pointless. And it's going to take 4.5 months. I talked about this before. It's not until season 2 that they're looking at potentially having resistances fixed, because they have to work the formula and, get it all fixed. And season 1 is pretty close to probably already being shipped and all of this stuff. And it's again, there's so much focus on the seasons and all of this now, that they're letting a core piece of the game, literally resistances, I mean, such a core piece of the game, not be fixed for all of that time. And that's just one piece of what I think is 100 pieces, including items, including quality of life, including, stuff with the town, where the stash is compared to waypoints, small things, big things, all sorts of stuff. And again, I'm not the only person that's given this feedback. A lot of people have given this feedback, and a lot of people have given this feedback going all the way back to the alpha. And it just feels like a lot of that stuff isn't being addressed. So much focus is on, we've got 2 expansions already in mind and 2 seasons already lined up. And it's like, cool, but your core still needs a lot of work. And that to me is just the piece that I think is tough, right? And especially somebody said, hey, in Diablo 3, a lot of these things are already fixed. You can right click on a player and teleport to them. We have the armory. We have like a variety of things. And they said Diablo 3 has existed for 10 years and Diablo 4 has existed for 10 days. And I think that sounds like a good point at an initial level, but when you think about it, a sequel should have already built and taken the improvements from the previous game and used that as the base. It's not like you don't reinvent all of it again. You go there and you say, wow, we fixed all those things in Diablo 3. Let's start there in Diablo 4, and then new issues and new things that arise we can tackle. But again, it's like a weird thing. It's like they're like saying it's okay for D4 to now drop back to the base of D3 or whatever it is, and then over the years add in the same things that they added into D3, into D4. It's like that should already be there. There should already be those pieces in that core. So, anyways, that's how I feel about that. And that's how I feel, I guess I say overall. Like I say, if we look, it's just, there's a lot of people that are now starting to see the amount of CC in the game is absurd. The Fallen not acting like Fallen is disappointing. Just monstered variety overall. There's a problem with item power tiers. Unique items don't have a unique look. Obviously, inventory space too small, rubber banding. Now, is Reddit just going to complain? Yeah, I mean, sure. Why not, right? But, I wish we could save builds, right? There's a lot of stuff where you just run into questions where you go, if they sat down and played this game for hundreds of hours, like just grinded the game, all of the devs stopped doing anything for a week and grinded the game for a week or two, I think they could come up with this giant list as well, and they would go in and adjust all of those pieces. And so the fact that all those pieces haven't been adjusted, the fact that they aren't addressing so many of these quality of life features, so many of these things that are super annoying, like not having an ability to search for your aspects. I mean, that seems real basic and simple. Searching in your stash, features that exist in, all sorts of other games. And like I say, if they played through this game a lot and just went through and kept looking through all their aspects every single time, you'd think they would go, man, I need to add a search filter. So it just gives question to me. And it's not that I don't think they've played it at all, but it's just I'm just questioning why these sorts of pieces don't exist, why they haven't run into those issues, and at the same time, they got a lot of that feedback already, and it did not get implemented. And there's just so much push to the expansions, push to the seasons, push to the future. But I don't think they're taking care of their base enough right now. And overall, I think that will hurt Diablo 4 in the long run. I think it's still a great game. I think there's still plenty of fun to be had. I think plenty of people will play the game, enjoy it. There will be people that'll continue playing it for years and years, and it'll do totally fine. But overall, I think the piece that keeps it from becoming great... Yeah, it's hot up here. Hi, baby. is that the core is not being addressed in a way that I believe it needs to be. So that is my harsh truth of Diablo 4 and why I'm going to go play Diablo 2. Again, you can say don't let the door hit you on the way out, whatever you want. That's totally fine. We're streaming. We're doing stuff. So, with that being said, love you guys, YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.